Affirmations for depression and anxiety. These affirmations are offered as a soft place to land. They are not meant to deny pain, rush healing, or suggest that difficult feelings can be wished away. Depression and anxiety can be heavy, exhausting, and isolating, and living with them often requires more strength than the world ever sees. These words are here to meet you where you are, not where you think you should be. You do not need to read these affirmations perfectly, believe every word, or repeat them with confidence. You might connect with only one sentence, or simply feel comforted by the tone rather than the meaning. That is enough. Let the words wash over you gently, like a quiet voice sitting beside you rather than trying to fix you. Some days these affirmations may feel grounding. Other days they may feel distant or even hard to accept. Both experiences are valid. Healing is not linear, and neither is self-compassion. You are allowed to take breaks, skip lines, return later, or come back to the same affirmation again and again. Above all, these affirmations are reminders of something depression and anxiety often try to hide, that you are not broken, you are not weak, and you are not alone. Even in moments of deep struggle, you are worthy of patience, care, and gentleness. May these words offer you a small sense of steadiness, reassurance, and kindness whenever you need it most. I am allowed to move through today at my own pace, without rushing, without comparing, and without apologizing for the weight I carry inside me right now. Even when my mind feels loud or heavy, my existence is still valid, my presence still matters, and I do not need to earn rest, kindness, or compassion. I remind myself that surviving difficult days is not weakness but quiet courage, especially when getting through the smallest moments takes immense inner strength. I am not broken for feeling this way, and I do not need fixing to be worthy of care, understanding, patience, and love from myself and others. This feeling, however intense or familiar, is not the sum of who I am, and it does not cancel the depth, softness, or meaning within me. I can breathe gently into this moment, even if my breath feels shallow or shaky, knowing that each inhale and exhale is enough for now. I give myself permission to rest without guilt, recognizing that rest is not quitting, failing, or giving up, but an essential act of self-preservation. I am allowed to have days where simply existing is my greatest accomplishment, and that is still something deserving of recognition and respect. Even when hope feels distant or unreachable, I trust that my story is not finished and that change can happen quietly, slowly, and unexpectedly. I do not have to understand everything I am feeling to deserve comfort, safety, and reassurance in this moment. My thoughts are not always facts, especially when anxiety speaks loudly, and I can gently remind myself that fear is not the same as truth. I am learning to treat myself with the same patience I would offer someone I love who is hurting and doing their best. It is okay if today looks nothing like productivity or progress, because healing does not follow straight lines or neat timelines. I am allowed to ask for help, and needing support does not make me a burden or a disappointment to anyone. Even when I feel numb or disconnected, there is still a part of me that longs for peace and is worthy of being cared for. I acknowledge my pain without letting it define my worth, knowing that suffering does not erase my value as a human being. I can choose to speak to myself gently, even when my inner voice has learned harshness through long periods of struggle. I remind myself that feelings rise and fall, and even the most overwhelming emotions are not permanent states. I am not weak for finding things hard that others may not see, because invisible battles still demand immense strength. I deserve moments of calm, softness, and relief, even if they arrive in brief or fragile forms. I am allowed to take life 1 minute, one breath, or one small step at a time without judgment. My presence in this world has meaning, even on days when I cannot feel it or believe it. I can sit with discomfort without punishing myself for it, trusting that I'm doing the best I can with what I have. I release the pressure to be okay all the time, recognizing that honesty with myself is a form of self-respect. I am learning that it is possible to hold pain and still be gentle, still be human, still be deserving of love. I do not have to prove my suffering to justify my need for care, rest, or understanding. Even when my thoughts spiral, I can anchor myself in the knowledge that I have survived every hard day so far. I give myself permission to step away from what overwhelms me and return only when I feel able. My emotions are signals, not failures, and listening to them is an act of courage and self-awareness. I am allowed to feel proud of myself for continuing, even when continuing feels like the hardest thing I've ever done. I can remind myself that anxiety often exaggerates danger, and I am safer in this moment than my mind suggests. I do not owe anyone constant strength, cheerfulness, or resilience to be worthy of connection and care. I honour the effort it takes me to show up in the world, even when others cannot see how heavy that effort feels. I can be kind to myself when my energy is low, understanding that low energy does not equal low worth. I trust that healing can coexist with setbacks and that slipping does not erase progress already made. I am allowed to feel joy without fearing it will be taken away, even if joy feels unfamiliar or fleeting. I give myself grace on days when my mind feels foggy, my body feels tired, and my heart feels sore. I remind myself that asking for reassurance is not weakness, but a natural human need for connection and safety. I can let go of the idea that I should be handling this better, recognizing that I am handling it honestly. I am learning to believe that I deserve peace, even if my past has taught me to expect struggle. I do not need to have everything figured out to be worthy of patience, compassion, and understanding. I can allow myself to feel scared without letting fear dictate every decision I make. I am more than my diagnosis, my symptoms, or my hardest days, even when they feel all-consuming. I choose to notice the small things I survive each day, knowing they quietly add up to resilience. I'm allowed to exist without explanation, justification, or performance exactly as I am right now. I remind myself that healing is not about becoming someone new, but about returning to myself with kindness. I can hold space for my sadness without shaming myself for feeling deeply or needing time to heal. I am not alone in this experience, even when my mind tells me I am isolated or forgotten. I trust that there are moments ahead, however small, that will feel lighter than this one. I give myself permission to be imperfect, emotional, and human without seeing those qualities as flaws. I can choose to rest my mind when it becomes overwhelmed, knowing that pausing is allowed. I am worthy of care even on days when I struggle to care for myself in the ways I wish I could. I remind myself that progress can be quiet, internal, and invisible to others and still be real. I am learning that I can survive uncertainty even when anxiety tells me I cannot. I do not have to rush my healing to make others comfortable with my pain. I am allowed to believe that my life has value, even when depression tries to convince me otherwise. I can speak to myself with honesty and kindness, replacing cruelty with understanding where I can. I trust that my presence in this world matters. Even when I feel small, tired, or overwhelmed, I am allowed to take up space with my feelings, my needs, and my truth without apology. I remind myself that this moment, however painful, is not the end of my story. I offer myself patience as I learn how to live gently alongside depression and anxiety, one breath at a time. I choose to believe that I am deserving of love, peace, and understanding, even on the days I struggle to believe it myself.